Jagrative, Jai Masters. People have a lot of trouble with decisions in life. All the time people are asking me, how do I make decisions? I'll never answer them. Can we talk about it? This is something you're going to deal with your entire life. First, you don't try to make a decision. If you're confronting something and it is difficult for you to make a decision, you have no right to make a decision. There's no clarity in order to decide between one thing or another. I always tell my mind, if you know something, tell it to me. If you don't know it, shut up. And indecision means your mind doesn't know. There's never a single time where you know what to do, they have indecision. Do you understand that? All right? It's because you don't know what to do, you have indecision. So normally what we do is we turn to our minds. That's our best friend, by the way, our guru. We turn to our mind and say, oh mind, there are these choices, there are these things out there, and I don't know what to do. Figure it out. That's a gross mistake. That's why we have so much trouble. I'm telling you. If your mind knew, it would have told you. It would have said, oh, I got to go south to get to Miami. No indecision. It knows something. It tells you. But if it doesn't know, then why did you go to it and ask it to figure it out for you? I sometimes tell the story that you're traveling, you're driving through South Texas or something, and you're lost. You're completely lost. And you know you're trying to get to Arlington, but you don't know where it is. And you're driving through these fields, it's farm fields and stuff, and all of a sudden you see a farmer up there. And he's chewing on some hay, and you pull up to him. You say, excuse me, sir, do you know how to get to Arlington? And his first thing he says, well, I've never been there, right, to tell you, right? But I heard tell, neighbor told me once that he had a friend who went there. And if I were going to try and go, I'd go down this road down here. No, I think you go down this one, all right? And how long before you stop listening? No, seriously. How many times before he changes what he's got to say do you kind of politely, please be polite, sit there and say, thank you so much, sir. Okay, we're on our way, right? And you just leave, all right? Because you figure there's no way this guy knows where he's going. So why am I listening? All right? That's how I look at the mind. If I have something that needs to be decided and the mind tells me this is clear, you have history here, you know something here it is. But if I go to mind and it says in essence, I don't know, but I'll think about it, you don't understand. That's a problem. That's not a solution. If it doesn't know, it doesn't know. Be real. Be honest. That farmer did not know. He thought about it. I wasn't interested in what he had to say. How often has your mind, in trying to make a decision, said, oh, okay, I've thought about it based on this, and I met somebody who said this, and this is what I want. This is what I want to do. Nah. But yes or no? All right? Be fair to it. It doesn't know. Why are you so mean to your mind, all right? It doesn't know. It has the right to not know. How do you like that? How's that for a starting place in understanding good decision-making? If it doesn't know, it doesn't know. The fact that you're scared that it doesn't know does not help it know. The fact that you really, really want it to know does not help it know. Your mind is not going to figure it out and all of a sudden know that which it does not know. What it's going to do is try to build some solidity and make it sound like it knows. But the problem is one more piece of information, one more thing happened, it's gone. It changes its mind, doesn't it? And it just pops over to the other side. Well, you're going to suffer with that decision for the rest of your life. Because if you don't know, you're going to force a decision, and inevitably, down the road, it's going to say, well, maybe I should have done that. This isn't turning out the way I want. And you'll start dreaming the other one would have been perfect. And you end up with these problems inside yourself. Well, what is the alternative? People always say to me, I have to make decisions. No, you have to start understanding what's going on. So when you face a decision point, you do not ask, if you don't know the answer, you do not ask, I want to think it out, I want to figure it out, I have to make this decision. You ask, what am I trying to get from this? What's my motive? There must be some motive because I'm angsting over this. There must be something I think I need. There must be something I want that's causing all this trouble concerning this decision. So this is called going back to the root of things. The Buddhists teach this. So you come back and you say, why do I care? Why do you care? Why do you care? You have to be honest with yourself. Now all of a sudden what you're doing is, instead of going out there and making some false decision with a mind that's just making up things to make you feel better, you're coming back deeper within yourself to a meaningful place. And you're asking, why do I care? And you're going to find out that the answer is always one of two things. Are you ready? Because I want something, or I'm afraid of something. That's why you have decision points. You couldn't care less about things you don't care about. If you're not trying to get something from it, and you're not trying to avoid something by that decision, trying to make a decision that made me safe, and I'm just not comfortable, and what neighborhood should I live in? You're not trying to decide what neighborhood to live in. You're trying to decide how to avoid fear. That's very different. They are different things. So if you come back and you ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve through this decision? And you see, I'm scared. I'm insecure. I'm scared. And I'm trying to avoid myself. I'm trying to avoid the experience of the fear. I'm trying to avoid the experience that I'm afraid of feeling, and that's why I'm making this decision. Okay? I'm literally trying to make a decision outside, of which really I'm trying to make up a decision outside because I don't know, that I believe will make me not feel fear or insecurity, whatever it is I'm trying to avoid. That's why this decision is so important. That's why I keep mulling it over in my mind. That's why I keep changing my mind about it, because the truth of the matter, it has nothing to do with the decision. It has to do with my fear. It has to do with my whatever it is I'm trying to protect inside. Now that's an awful difficult thing to decide what should happen outside that in the future doesn't screw me up inside because I have this problem of fear or insecurity or jealousy. That's why the decision is so hard. Can you see that now? You're not even trying to decide where to live. You're not even trying to decide who to marry. You're not even trying to decide what job to take. You're not. You're trying to decide which decision will help protect me from my financial insecurity, from my fear of being rejected, and so on. It's sometimes easier to see when we go to the positive side. I said it's one of two things. Either you're trying to avoid a fear or problem you have inside yourself you don't want touched, or you have a desire and you're trying to make a decision of getting what you want. That's easier to deal with, isn't it? And you do it all the time. I'm not trying to decide who to marry. I'm not. You have two boyfriends or girlfriends and you're trying to decide, what should I do? Who do I stay with? Who do I leave? When should I get married? What should I do? You're not trying to decide between these people. The question you're really asking is, I am not whole inside myself. I have desires. I have needs. There are things I want to experience. There are things I want to do. Which of these decision points will get me what I want? That's what you're trying to decide. It's almost trite, isn't it? I mean, of course that's what I'm trying to decide. You better say it. Otherwise you'll get lost and think it has something to do with who you're picking. You'll think it has something to do with where you live. You have something to do with your job. It has nothing to do with your job. It has nothing to do with who you're getting married to. It has nothing to do with where you're going to live. It has to do with the fact that you are not whole within yourself. And because you are not whole and complete within yourself, you have desires. What are desires? Things that I think will make me feel better. There are things that I think will make up for what's missing inside of me and let me feel excited, and let me feel enthused, and let me feel loved, and let me feel, well, the question a yogi asks, why don't you feel enthused? Why don't you feel love? Why don't you feel excited? Not what do I need in order to feel love, in order to feel excited, in order to feel enthused. So what you're doing is you're working your way back layer by layer inside yourself. It's actually a spiritual journey. Instead of going out here and bothering your mind with all these stupid thoughts of trying to figure out what you should do when you don't even know why you're doing it. It's just kind of like I'm trying to feel what feels right. If you work your way back by starting to ask, why do I care? As terrible as that question is, that's what you ask first. Why do I care? And you can have trouble with that question, by the way, because you care so much you don't want to ask, why do I care? Imagine somebody sitting there saying, I can't decide who to marry. And you come see me, and I sit there and ask you, why do you care? Why do I care who I marry? What's the matter with you? You've been in the woods too long. No, I haven't. All right? You've been in the world too long. It's like, why do you care? You have to ask that. Otherwise, you're going to make terrible decisions because you don't know yourself. You don't even know what's going on. You're just reacting to the energies that are around you. Something turns you on, you go run after it. Something turns you off, you run away from it. And that's how you're making your decisions in life. You're not going to go anywhere. You're just reacting to the changes of energy inside of you. So your starting position is when you have this issue of decisions or whatever it is, you ask, why do I care? But you be honest about it. And you sit there and you look and see. And I'm telling you what you're going to see. You're going to see a fear or a desire. You're going to see something you're trying to avoid or something you're trying to get. There is no decision point you will end up in that you will not see that. Can you see why? Because if there is no fear and there is no desire, who cares? Then the answer is I don't. The answer to why do I care? I don't. I don't even know why I'm making a thing out of it. All right? You can live in New York or you can live in California. I don't care. They both seem like fun. Good. You don't have a major problem. But then you say to me, but I still have to make a decision. If my decision is 2 foods are put in front of me that are my favorite that could ever be, and they're both made by the best chefs that make that kind of food, I'm in good shape. I'm trying to make it easy for you. If you, get it down now, if you have asked, why do I care? And the answer is I don't, you don't have a problem. All right? Give yourself the right to step back and say, why do I care? All right, fine. But that's not what you're going to see most of the time. You're in the habit of getting uptight about things you really don't even care about. You just get uptight about them. You go into a restaurant and they're playing music that isn't exactly what you want to hear, all right? And you're sitting there and you're supposed to be having dinner. Don't do this to yourself. Should I ask the waiter to change it? What am I going to do? Should we leave? Should we leave? Like, what are you doing? Those are decision points, aren't they? The truth is there's no decision there. You got yourself neurotic for no reason. Just step back, and I dare you to ask the question when you see, do you see it's a decision point? Even, I'm not thinking decision point, who do I marry? The decision point, do I leave the restaurant? Do I want to stay here? Do we have to move to a table that's further away from the speaker? These are decision points, but they're really not. If you just ask, why do I care? You say, fine, what's the big deal? It's not worth the aggravation of creating myself aggravation. So I love, if we get nothing else from this talk, instead of going to your mind and making your mind make a decision of whether you should leave the restaurant, whether you should ask them to turn it down, whether you should complain to the other people, they're talking too loud. You understand that? Because you're ruining your experience. Instead, step back and ask, why do you care? See, I used to say, why do I care? Now I say, why do you care? Because I'm talking to him. He ain't me. He's just something in there causing trouble. You got one of those guys in there? All right? And I just say, why do you care? And he gets quiet. If he doesn't care, let it go. All right? Now let's step back, and you'll see something deeper, a bigger situation. Those will get rid of the low-hanging fruit. Why do you care? I don't. Good, then don't. It's beautiful. Wait do you see how free you get, how much less anxiety you have, how many less knots are inside your stomach. This is literally yoga. I'm telling you, chakras open when you do that. Instead of creating the anxiety in the 3rd chakra and the closing in the 4th chakra because you're getting all uptight about things, all of a sudden you feel a warm flow coming through your energy centers. It's just the same as doing asanas. It's the I don't care asana. Okay? And you just let go. It's a form of letting go. I teach letting go, but I wonder how many people really understand it. That was letting go, wasn't it? You didn't let go of something outside. You let go of something inside. Let me tell you something. All your work is inside. Before I'm done, I will discuss that with you. The work of your life is inside. Stuff will happen outside, but your work is inside. Your work is, can you handle and come to peace and be in harmony and be centered in the midst of the unfolding of life in front of you? If you can, you will reach a very, very, very high state. That's where the great yogis are. When Krishna was teaching in the Bhagavad Gita, what is the highest state? He said, equanimity is yoga. That's what he taught Arjuna. Equanimity is yoga. So you start with these little things that are happening where your mind is driving you crazy, but it's not right to say your mind is driving you crazy. You want to know what? You're driving your mind crazy. You're the one who went to your mind and said, what do I have to decide whether I should pass this guy? What do I decide whether I should move from the restaurant? You went to your poor mind and you asked your mind to figure these things out. Your mind doesn't know any of this. It's just a poor little computer sitting inside that gathered data from before. You're using it to try and be okay, aren't you? And so you create this tremendous anxiety inside your mind and inside your heart. So instead, when you see yourself create these decision points, there are no decision points. You created them, and then you went to your mind to solve them. So you step back and you ask, why do I care? And believe it or not, it's a rhetorical question because the answer is I don't. But if you step back and you see it's bigger than that, I'm telling you what you're going to see. When you can't say, I don't care, you're going to see fear or desire. Do you agree? Do you understand that? You're going to see something inside of you that does not want to have an experience. It wants to avoid something. It wants to not have to go through that. And so it's trying to use this decision point to create a situation in life where you don't have to go through this problem part inside of you that you don't want to deal with. All right? Or you have a desire. A desire means there is something wrong inside of you that is not whole, that is not well, that does not feel complete. Therefore, I need something, energy from outside. I need something to come in and compensate for what is missing inside of me. That's what a desire is. Okay? I like your smile. It's embarrassing, isn't it? Okay? That's what a desire is. A desire is not something holy. The desire is not something to follow. It's the meaning of your life. A yogi, a yogini who has reached a good state always feels love. They just feel love. Why? Because that's what's going on inside, love. All right? It's not love for somebody. It's just love. And they always feel excited. They feel excited about life. They feel excited about being able to come to temple. They feel excited about being able to listen to music. They feel excited about every single thing they do. You're just excited. So if you are open and you're clear, then all of this energy inside of you is flowing beautifully, and you're filled with love, filled with excitement, filled with enthusiasm. You don't feel desires. I told you, it's not renunciation. It's realization. It's awakening. It's getting healthy. So basically, you get to the point where when you reach the point that you're making this decision and you step back and say, why do I care? And you see, because I have this fear, because I have this desire, you have a life-changing decision to make. Do I really want to devote my life to these low parts of my being? I have a problem inside that's afraid of something. It is about to determine where I go. Do you want the lowest part of your being running your life? And you know the answer is no. All right? Where's it going to take you? Not going to take you anywhere you want to go. So let's say mommy did something bad, or daddy did something bad, or sister hurt you, or brother hit you, or first boyfriend, or first ex-husband, or whatever it was. And you got this garbage stored inside of you. And you don't want it hit, do you? You don't want it touched. You don't have to deal with those feelings again. All of a sudden, those feelings are running your life. The avoidance of them is exactly the same as giving into them. They are telling you where to go. They're telling you what to do. They're telling you who to be with. So the lowest part of your being is running your life. And so at some point, and I hope I can encourage you, you wake up and say, if I have but one life to live, no, I ain't living it that way. Is it hard not to live it that way? Yes. Why? Because the path of the least resistance says, I don't want to touch that stuff. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want anybody seeing it. I don't want to have to face it ever again. I just want to suppress it and push it away. And I want to make a decision that doesn't make me deal with it. That's what I want. Do you understand that? And that's why I'm having so much trouble with this decision. It has nothing to do with the decision. It has nothing to do with what college to go to. It has nothing to do with career. It has nothing to do with where to live. It has nothing to do with who to marry. My decision of that is an attempt to take care of the problem inside of me. And the problem inside of me gets taken care of by avoidance, if it's fear and negativity, or it gets taken care of by running after something, desire, if it's something missing, coming out like that. And that's the bottom line of what few people ever understand in their lives. And so they run away from their fears and they run toward their desires. And they don't know they're doing that. It's just these decision points keep showing up, and they seem really important. They seem like, oh, these are life-changing decisions. No, there's no such thing. The more it seems like a life-changing decision, the more you're caught with your garbage inside. It is just this garbage inside, or problems inside, projecting themselves out onto the situations that are in front of you. How do I prove that? You say it's a life-changing decision, Mickey, it's a life-changing decision. Okay, I'll bring somebody else up to stand next to you, and we'll see if they say it's a life-changing decision. No, they couldn't care less. You understand that? You're doing this, all right? And this is when you get into spiritual growth, and you make a decision. Do I want to live my life running after or away from what I'm projecting inside myself out onto the objects of the world? That's what I'm doing. I'm projecting. You'll take care of my needs. You're just the right person for me. I know, because you open the door for me, and you're so sweet. Or you're strong, and you drive a Porsche, and you're the doctor, and you have a good livelihood. And right, I'm just taking my fears and insecurities, or needs, or desires, and I'm projecting them onto you. And now I have to decide how I get you to love me, and how I get to keep you, and how to make sure you're paying attention to me. Do you understand that? And so really, I'm not dealing with you ever. If you're having a problem with something, it's because you're having a problem inside, not outside. You're not dealing with the stuff outside. Do you understand that? It's all the projection of what you assign to it, because you went to your mind and said, how to be okay? You know what your mind did? It looked at your past experiences and it said, avoid the ones that didn't feel good and go after the ones that did. What else does your mind know? It only knows the past experiences it had. It's in there telling you all this stuff. And next thing you know, you're listening to it. And that's why life becomes impossible to live with. But I'm telling you, the only thing, if you go to your mind and say, what do I want, what do I need, what should I do? It is going to look into its data bank of the past experiences it's had, and it's going to sit there and say, you need to avoid these and get these. In other words, make this happen again and make sure that doesn't happen again. And it just colors it different ways. And the next thing you know, it's telling you what to go after and what to avoid. And then situations happen, decision-making, like we said, where you can't decide what to do because you don't know which one will take care of you. You don't know which one in the end is going to make you feel better or make you feel worse. All right. I don't want you to live like that. That's a terrible way to live. You'll have tremendous anxiety, tremendous insecurity, tremendous sense of not knowing where you're going or what's happening. And if you do get something you want, you'll feel possessive about it. Anybody know anything about that? Right? If you get something you think will fulfill what you're missing, you'll become possessive about it. You'll become jealous about it. You'll try to do all kinds of things. You won't feel comfortable. And if you avoid something that you get by something you didn't want hit, you'll be afraid it'll happen again. You'll be afraid it'll show up again. Go move into a place that you think is safe and there's not a lot of crime. And then there's an article in the paper that there was crime next door. Oh my God. It didn't solve anything. You can't avoid yourself, which is what everybody's attempting to do, is avoid these situations that are inside themselves that are problematic. So what is the alternative? The alternative is you work with yourself the way I said. You stop, look, and listen. You take a breath. You say, why do I care? Either you see the low-hanging fruit that says, I don't. Okay, good. Let it go. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time. Or you'll see something much deeper. You'll see a fear or a need. All right, what do I do with that? You ask even there. Do you dare to deal with the deepest part of your being? All right? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? I'm afraid of snakes because my brother? No. I'm afraid of somebody hurting me in a relation? No. What are you afraid of? You're afraid that you won't feel good. You're afraid that you'll have this experience inside that feels yicky. Don't give it a name. You understand that? Aren't you afraid of that? You're afraid that you'll get, I'll call it getting weird. Okay? You're afraid you'll get weird inside. It'll just start to feel yicky inside. And I don't want it to feel yicky inside. How about you? All right? But you gave it a name. I don't want to go here. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want somebody to laugh at me. You gave names to the yicky feeling. A yogi, a true spiritual person, steps back behind that and doesn't give it a name. Give it all these different faces and just sits there and says, I don't like feeling yicky inside. I don't like my heart hurting. I don't just like that yicky feeling that can happen inside. All right? That's a much deeper place to work with things. So next question comes back is, what is that feeling? Not how do I avoid it? What is it? Why does that happen? No one but a great being who's meditated very deeply and gone deep within themselves can answer that question. Why? Because nobody can dare to stand there to find out what it is. They're too busy running away from it. Okay? A fire gives off smoke. If you're walking toward the smoke to see where it's coming from, at some point you're coughing, at some points your eyes are tearing, and you run away. It's only the very great being who just keeps going and eventually sees, oh, there's a fire over there. It's the same thing with these feelings and stuff inside yourself. It is certainly possible inside that you can get tremendously uncomfortable. What is that? What is the cause of that? And I'm telling you, almost no one can answer that because they won't get that close to it. They're too busy saying, how do I get away from this? Well, if you get away, if you're busy running away from it, you'll never find out what it is. All right? It just so happens, before I answer you what it is, because I see you're interested, I'm going to go to the other side for a moment. So I said I was trying to get something. I had a desire. I want to get excited. I want to feel love. I want to think, right? So I'm trying to make a decision. I'm going to have this. Same question. What exactly are you trying to have? You're really trying to have a relationship? You're really trying to go travel around Europe? You're really trying to do this, that, the other thing? The answer is no. I want a feeling of excitement. Just like there are yicky feelings inside, there are really nice ones, aren't there? And I want them. How about you? I want the really nice ones and I don't want the icky ones, but I'm not going to give them names. Like when you feel tremendous love and it's welling up inside of you, why is that different than you were playing a musical set, in public and everybody's cheering and you're feeling this tremendous well-being of success and that tremendous feeling of acceptance and you did great. Why is that? It's not different, right? It's just a great feeling. It's just this tremendous rush of good energy that wells up inside of you. Call it love, call it excitement, call it enthusiasm, call it just a state of, Maslow called it a peak experience. You just have this peak experience. So now we know there's two types of experiences and we're not giving them all these little names, all right? You come back and you get very straight. And this is the root. I'm in here. You in there? Hi. In there? Have you noticed you can feel very different in there? You have all kinds of different feelings can go on in there. But there's really two. One is yick. And the other is woo. All right? And one is very low, disturbed energy. And the other is very high, flowing, energetic beauty, love, right? Peace. Very nice stuff. So instead of giving them all the different names, you come back and you ask, why do I care? I don't, or I do, because it desires. Well, what are you trying to desire? I'm not trying to go Hawaii. I'm not trying to get married. I'm not trying to have an intimate relationship. Because how I can test you on that? Okay, I'll give you whatever you want. Hawaii, marriage, intimate relationship, whatever you want. And God's going to come down here and touch you on the top of your head. There's a very spot on the top of your head, touch you before it, and it'll make you miserable. I mean, miserable. It'll be the worst experience you ever had in your entire life. You want it? You want to go to Hawaii under those conditions? I don't think so. You hear me? You want to get married knowing it'll turn out to be the biggest schnook that ever walked the face of the earth and never have a single day's peace in your entire life? No. You weren't looking to get married. You weren't looking to have a relationship. You weren't looking to go to Hawaii. You were looking to have the high. You were looking to have a beautiful experience. You just projected that onto a person, place, or thing. Ever done that before and find out it doesn't work out so good? You better shake your head yes, all right? Because it can't turn out good because it had nothing to do with the person, place, or thing. It has to do with what you're looking for inside yourself. So we've now got it down to, if I'm causing myself angst about it, and I ask, why do you care? And I say, I don't. Well, fine. Thank you, Mickey. I don't have angst on little things, all right? If I look inside and I see, oh, no, I'm trying to avoid a fear or trying to get a desire, at least be honest with the fact that what I'm looking for is a feeling inside myself. I'm looking to avoid a negative feeling. I'm looking to experience a positive feeling. I love you. That is so honest. That is so beautiful. Well, what does that have to do with the decision you're trying to make? Except that you projected it out that way based on what your mind said, all right? So instead, you come back inside, you take a look at it, and you realize, I have some work to do inside myself. I need to understand myself better before I go out there and make these decisions, because I'm making them based on either running away from myself or running toward what I think is missing inside of me. And I'm telling you that neither of those are going to take you anywhere you want to go. How can running away from your fears take you anywhere you want to be? Your fear is still there. You just ran away, all right? You tried to run away. You tried to distract yourself from it. That's not going to get rid of the fear. It's not going to make you feel comfortable. And likewise, if you're missing something inside yourself and you're trying to compensate for it by some external experience that temporarily gets you high or does something, it's not going to keep you there. It never has and it never will. It's like drugs. Lately I've been talking about drugs, all right? You live your life the way you want, but at least be honest. If you are having to drug yourself, it's because you're not happy with yourself. I don't care what drug you're taking. By definition, if you are drugging yourself, it means I don't like my state of being. Is that fair enough? I know it's embarrassing, all right? Because I can guarantee you, if you ever got to a state that was so high that all you were feeling was waves of ecstasy and love, peak going on inside of you, and somebody said, hey, you want a certain drug? You say, no. Why would I want to dull my ability to experience the beauty that I'm experiencing? Like I said, I'm not judging what anybody does, but at least once, let's get honest. Do you see how honest it is what I just said to you? Without judgment, right? So don't kid yourself. This is called being honest. And so you come back and you honestly realize that a lot of what I am doing outside in this world, in fact, if I'm doing anything, everything I'm doing in this world is attempting to avoid a problem I have inside myself or attempting to get something I think will compensate for what's missing inside of me. And that describes all of human behavior. So a yogi, Yogini, a spiritual-minded person, somebody who's seeking greater states, comes all the way back and realizes this is all about the vibrations inside of me. I like the nice one, and I don't like the not nice one. Well, good. That's very real. Look how far away from the world that is. You're now inside yourself, and that's where you belong, because that's what you're making the decision about. You might as well come down there and realize it. Like, let's say you go to buy a car and you're trying to decide. You're having trouble deciding between an old Volkswagen van and a Ferrari. Now, the question becomes, on what base you're trying to decide. Well, I like people that aren't all into money and that kind of stuff, and the old van kind of feeds a part of my being that feels really simple, and I like to, all right, and the other part is I like to project a good image, and you just look at it and you realize it's all bunko. It's all bunko. You're trying to project, hide, and do something from inside yourself outside. All right, let's make believe you made your way back to this point I said I would talk about, which is I don't like the yicky vibrations, and I really like the nice ones. You have the right to say that. That's beautiful. And I would love that you learned how to not have the icky vibrations and only have the really beautiful, beautiful energies flowing inside of you, because you are capable of doing that, but not by making decisions of what car you're going to buy or who you're going to marry or what house you're going to live in. That ain't going to do it for you. All right. So what is going on with these energies? Now you're back to yoga. Now you're back to the deep things. Why do these energies shift? I dare you to watch. Ever like somebody or love somebody, and you feel tremendous love for them, you're tremendously open, and you're talking to them, and all of a sudden they say something, and it hits you the wrong way, and you don't feel so much love? Has that ever happened to you? And then all of a sudden they say something else that lets you understand that you had misunderstood what they were saying, and all of a sudden you feel love again? All right, that's your teacher. Have you ever driven down the street and almost gotten in an accident at a certain place, 34th and 39th or something, right? You ran on your brakes, you skid around, didn't hit anybody, right? You've driven that way 1,000 times through that intersection. What happens next time you drive to that intersection the next day? You're talking, it gets quiet. Heart starts doing this. Yes or no? Okay? That is your teacher. I am telling you, this is the level that you need to learn to live your life, because you have just seen it go from yicky to nice to yicky. You've seen it go from neutral to yicky and stay yicky, and it taught you why. How did that happen? You will find out that you store things inside yourself. In yoga, we call them samskaras. That stuff you stored after you almost got in an accident on that intersection, there wasn't in there before, was it? There was nothing in you about that intersection. Now you had this close call. It didn't feel good. It definitely caused disturbance inside, but it didn't stay, right? It didn't stay. The disturbance was over in 30 seconds. You rammed on your brakes, you skid around a little bit, and you stopped. So it's gone outside, isn't it? The disturbing experience is not happening anymore outside. Is it gone inside? No. You feel it all day. Next day when you go to drive down past the intersection, you feel it again. And maybe you even change where you drive from then on, because it's so uncomfortable to you. Something very, very important happened to you, and I need you to pay attention to it, right? An experience from outside that was momentary, and it's over, left an impression inside of you that is not momentary, and it is not over. And that impression was negative. You were doing fine. Now it got this bad energy. No question, it's bad energy to almost get in an accident. I'm not questioning that. It's bad energy if somebody breaks up with you and dumps on you in high school. You hear me? It doesn't feel good at all, does it? But it's temporal. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end, but not in you. High school was 23 years ago. You still hear her name, you freak out. You want to go down to the reunion? Will she be there? I don't want to go. Come on, be honest. If you want to have a beautiful life, you got to be real with yourself. You got to be so real, it's scary. So you sit there and realize, I have stored inside of me events that were negative that are not happening anymore. Okay, fine. Well, what's the problem with that? The problem is when you stored it, you stored the whole event. You stored the memory, the emotions, the sound, the smell. Next time you hear a burning tire, you smell a burning tire, you get all scared because it reminds you of the accident. You stored this packet of energy, and we call it a samskara. It's back from the ancient Upanishads. They actually named that thing. Freud wasn't the first one to talk about what's going on inside of you. So you stored this in there. So what? So what? If an event happens outside and it touches, even touches, glances, has any association with that thing, you're going to start to feel yucky again. Aren't you? You walk into somebody's house, the kitchen smells, reminds you of when you were cooking with your mother when you were 6 years old, and it was one of the beautiful times in your whole life, and you just, all this love starts opening up inside of you. Because you walked into a house and smelled something? That's weird. But it happens, doesn't it? Or Mommy Dearest wasn't so much fun that day. She wouldn't let you do anything. She was yelling at you. And all of a sudden you smell that smell, and that's it for the day. You're in a mood. Do you get it? Do you see that? It is these stored packets of energy that you have stored from the past that are making it so you have these sensitivities that are screwing up your beautiful energy flow. Your natural energy flow inside is the highest thing you have ever experienced in your life, multiplied times 1,000. Any beautiful experience you ever felt, the sunset was beautiful, is because it distracted your consciousness enough to where you weren't hanging out with your psyche. And all of a sudden you said, it was so beautiful. It felt like I was in the presence of God. You were. You were. Because for a moment, you touched your own being. Like you literally say things like, it was such a deep experience. I felt like it touched my soul. Right? The first kiss, it felt like soul to soul. It must be my soulmate. You are your own soulmate. There is no other soulmate. Don't go look around for this stuff. You are a high being. You're the highest thing ever walked the face of the earth. You're the most beautiful thing there is. You are this beautiful, clean flow of upward energy that is love, joy, peace, excitement, ecstasy. The only time you ever felt excitement is because the mind said you could. The mind said, oh, I want to do this. I had a good experience with this once before. I want to do it again. Oh my God, there's a chance to have it. And you get excited. That excitement you feel comes from inside of you. And it is only because some scars in your mind and all your blockages got out of the way that you were able to experience this. You only experience beauty when you're not making ugliness for yourself. And so basically you get to realize these past patterns that you have stored inside yourself are screwing up your energy flow. And that is the deepest thing you will come to realize and see. I gave you examples. You saw that. The accident stored something in there. The breakup stored something in there. Your first husband's name was Ben. Now all of a sudden you're in Publix walking around and a loudspeaker, Ben, please come up to the service desk. You get all weird. It's not the same Ben. You're in New Hampshire. He's in California. Doesn't matter, does it? Can a name make you get weird? Or open you up? Wake up. What's happening? So you've stored this stuff in there. It is like rocks in a flow of a stream. If there's a river flowing and there's clean riverbed, there's no eddies, there's no rapids, there's no currents. It's just a clean flow. Go stick a bunch of rocks in there, and every one you add, what happens? It starts swirling, it starts bouncing off of them and throwing eddies. Enough, it creates rapids. That's what you're doing inside of you. That is why sometimes it feels yicky, and that is why sometimes it feels beautiful. When the flow is free to flow, it's not hitting the samskaras, you feel openness. When it is hitting that stuff, you feel closed, you feel depressed, you feel disturbed, all so on. And now the problem is, if you try to get the flow nice by getting what the mind wants, there's 10 other things in there that it doesn't want. It's just inevitably, if you're chasing after trying to create a world outside of you that matches the problems you have inside of you, you don't stand a chance. There's not a chance in the world. If I need you to be a certain way for me to be okay, we're both in trouble. I can't go out there and manipulate you to act the way my little problems need you to be so that I feel secure when I'm feeling insecure, and I feel loved when I'm not feeling loved, and I feel I have the space I need when I need the space I need. Good luck. Good luck. Not a chance in the world. That doesn't mean you can't have the love you're looking for. It doesn't mean you have the beauty you're looking for. It means you're not going to find it by trying to manipulate the world around you via decisions. That's what you're trying to decide. How does he need to be? Can I make him be what I want it to be? He's close, right? I just got to get this edge off. And then you start deciding all this stuff about how to try to make the world be the way you need it to be, to fit and not hit your bad stuff and always stimulate your turned on stuff. Well, you're not going to have a nice life. You're going to suffer. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to have fears and insecurities because you're afraid that you won't make a good decision. Why do you think you have trouble with decisions? Because you're afraid you'll make one that's not optimal. You're afraid you'll make one and then you're wrong and you'll get hurt. Okay? I'm telling you, yoga cuts through all of this. There are no decisions like that. The decision is very simple to a yogi. I am in here. I want it to be beautiful in here. It has nothing to do with the outside, except that I projected it outside, tried to solve it outside when the problem's inside. So I'm in here. It is not the way I want it to be in here. And the reason it's not the way I want it to be in here is because I stored all this stuff in here. And right now, because I stored this stuff in here, I can only be happy if something that stimulates a positive, we call it a positive samskara, stimulates something that was positive. Oh, it opens up, this is beautiful, it's going to happen again. But if it stimulates one that's negative, I get all weird. And so now I'm just running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to avoid myself. Well, what's the alternative? Get that stuff out. And that's where I teach, and I teach it every single time, and because it happens to be the truth. It's the only way you're going to end up okay, is if you don't have that stuff inside of you. There is no reason that you stored the breakup in 12th grade with this person and you broke up and now you're 20 years later. What is that doing in there? The event is not happening anymore. It doesn't exist. And because you stored that inside, now all of a sudden it's affecting your decisions. It's affecting everything you do because you don't want to hit. You don't want to feel that again. You do not have to store this stuff. If you drove down the street, you've driven down 39th and 34th 1,000 times. All of a sudden, one car runs a light, you slam on your brakes, right? It's gone. It's over. I want you to be able to drive down that street again, and at least, not tomorrow, you won't be able to do it, but at least in a couple of days, there's nothing going on inside of you. It is no different than the other 1,000 times you drove down there. You're clean. That's called being clean. You're purified. That's spiritual purification. You've gotten rid of this garbage that you stored inside that is disturbing your energy flow. And it is disturbing your energy flow. And because it's disturbing your energy flow, you don't feel whole, and you feel conditions have to be a certain way for you to be okay, and they better not be the other way. It's all these samskaras. Do you understand that? It's all these patterns. So the answer always is as follows. I'm facing a decision. Why? Because I need something. I think I need something. I'm either afraid of something or I think I need something. And it's so strong, this desire to get what I want and avoid what I don't want. And I've projected it onto these people, places, and things. And now I'm driving myself crazy about it. Do you see that? It's always that. So instead, the question becomes very simple. Not what do I need or what do I do? It becomes, am I willing to let go? Am I willing to let go? If this is disturbing me, it's because there's something inside me that can be disturbed. If this is sirens calling to me, oh, get this, you'll be happy for the rest of your life. Right. Right? How many times have you gotten what you wanted? You're still looking, aren't you? Wake up. I always tell everybody, we're supposed to be smart animals, right? The smartest species. If you have been doing something every moment of your entire life, and 20, 30, 40, 50 years have gone by and you're still doing it, I think maybe the way you're doing it doesn't work very well. And you have your entire life trying to be okay inside. Ever since you were little, you just wanted to feel excited and feel good and feel love and not feel yicky, right or wrong. And you're still trying. All right, well, tell you about it. You're looking for love in all the wrong places. You're going around it the wrong way. So the decision, and I face this every day with myself, I've faced it every day for all the years, every moment, the decision is, am I willing to let go of what I'm holding inside myself that is making this seem like a drama? Am I willing to let this go? So if I'm sitting there and it's saying, oh, if you get this, you'll be okay. I'm just in there, yeah, I'm sure, right? I'm sure. You've said it 7 billion times to me. Am I willing to let go of what's blocking me so I'm not feeling okay right now? That's what it comes down. I don't know if you can hear me or not. I took you the whole way. Am I willing to let go of whatever is blocking my energy flow instead of serving what's blocking me by trying to get what it says it needs? That's the difference. And you just start letting go. Am I willing to let go of the fears and anxieties I have because I've convinced myself I stored this stuff in here and I don't want to experience it again? I don't want that stuff in there. I do not want that in me. I do not want to make decisions based on it. I don't want to lay it on other people's heads. I don't want it affecting anything in my life. It's ugly. It's not nice. All right? It's totally selfish and personal, and it's just based on garbage. It's based on the stuff I stored from before that I couldn't handle. So now I'm going to let it go. And you just breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. I teach that all the time. You're in there. You're conscious. You see this stuff in there. You're not looking at all that stuff out there. You're looking in here. Yes, there's stuff in here. Yes, it's making that look important. Oh, my God, it's my whole life decision. It's so important. Right. This is what's important. And you just relax. And what will happen? If you relax and release, it will work its way up. And it will go out. You're the one who's holding it in there. There's no reason 20 years ago, you had an argument with somebody that's still in there, right? The person's not even there. You're holding it in there. So you dare to let go. And your whole spiritual process, the real spirituality is about letting go. You just constantly let go. You let go. What will happen? Over time, you will start to find out that you're happier. Will I see white lights? And no, I don't. Hope not. All right? Because what happens if you start having spiritual experiences, you will chase after those instead of doing the work that you need to do to purify yourself, to let go and then permanently be in a high state. A long time ago, I told God, don't bother. I'm not looking for experiences. I'm looking for states of being. There's a difference. I don't want to have a spiritual experience. I want to live in a spiritual state. I don't want it to come and go. That's ridiculous. Then I'm chasing after it. You sit down in meditation, have a deep meditation, right? Oh, I want to have it again. Well, you never will because you're so anxious now that you sit down and have a meditation. It is about letting go of yourself. In the Bible, Christ said you must die to be reborn. Mayor Baba, the great master, yogic master, said, man minus mind equals God. You must let go of yourself. You must be willing to die to self, to let go of this garbage you have stored inside. So it has nothing to do with decisions outside. It has to do with the one decision inside. Are you willing to let go? Or is this where you're getting off? Is this as high as you're getting? And you're going to let this run your life? No, I don't want to face this. I don't care. I don't want to face this. Okay, good. What are you going to do? You're going to project it outside and you're going to face it anyways. Can we talk about that for 2 seconds? You're not going to avoid yourself. If you have this scar in there, there's some scar in there, and you're afraid of things, and you try to avoid them by living a certain place or marrying a certain place or divorcing a certain person or doing whatever it is, you're just trying to do something outside to avoid this. That thing just ran your life. It just manifested externally. You didn't get rid of it. You built it in the world around you. Why are you not living in Texas? Well, my ex lived in Texas, and I'm just not comfortable. Anytime I'm in Texas, it reminds me of him. Great. Now you can't live in Texas, right? Now you got 49 states left. Let's see how I ruin those. Do you understand that? You didn't get rid of it. You built it into your life. You don't want to do this. You want to get rid of this stuff. You want to just once and for all say, I want it to be beautiful inside of me, whole and complete, self-effulgent. I want to see how high is. How high can I get? Right? And I'm willing to pay the price. No pain, no gain. I'm willing to let go of these things I've stored inside of me, right? And as far as the positive ones, it's not renunciation. It's not that I'm renouncing what this is telling me. If I do it, I'll be okay. I'm knowing that it's a lie. I'm knowing it's not true. I've done lots of things in my life that he told me, you do this, you'll be okay. Then there was the next one. He was never okay. You're okay for a minute, all right? It was never okay because you can't solve this problem you have inside that's blocking your energy by having an experience outside. So instead, you sit there and say, I want to let go. I want to let go. Not because I'm renouncing, but because I want to experience permanent well-being. And more you let go. Now, what does that mean with my outer life? And this is the hardest thing to talk about. I know it's hard to hear. Right now, with almost all of us, the life we have built outside ourselves is the projection of the garbage we have inside of ourselves. That's why we picked this job. That's every decision we made. I already started with decision, didn't I? If every decision you make is based upon this stuff inside of you, guess what you're going to be living? The exact projection of the garbage you didn't let go of inside of you. That's all. If you let go of everything except your fear of snakes, you can't live in Arizona, you can't live in Texas, you can't live anywhere near a museum or anything where they have a reptile thing. You can't. All it takes is one thing you didn't let go of, and it's running your life. Okay? It's either the positive for or the negative against, and then you're going to be surrounded by a world of your own making that is the projection of these samskaras. And they're going to run you wild because you have to keep running away. You have to keep either running toward or running away. Right? The alternative is you spend your will, your energy, your consciousness, your intent to just keep letting go, relaxing and releasing, relaxing and releasing. Well, wait a minute. Then if I'm relaxing and releasing, I'm not projecting out externally. I'm transmuting. It's called transmuting, bringing the energies up. I'm always bringing the energies up. No matter where they are, I'm bringing them up. I'm bringing them up and offering them up. Well, then what about the world outside of me? When you are not projecting yourself into the world, well, then you can't be making the world project you. So what will it do? If you will take one look at what the world has done when you left it alone, it built the planet Earth. It built you. out of hydrogen atoms after the Big Bang. You weren't there, were you? Where'd you come from? Right? Your body got built out of that all by itself. Nobody was thinking about it. Nobody made a single decision. And DNA got created. Where'd the DNA come from? Go ask any scientist. It came from the hydrogen clouds after the Big Bang that the forces of creation pulled it together and over time created this amazing programming called DNA, which made your body, right? Where'd your mind come from? You have a bright mind, you can think of things? Yeah, really. Figure it out. What if it doesn't come up with something? Figure out how to make it come up with it. It's a thing. The mind is a thing that got created in creation, didn't it? Right? It's awesome. So all of these things got created without you. That's what's going to happen. That perfection, they call it the Tao, that which will unfold without you screwing with it, the natural way of things, happens to have done a pretty good job, wouldn't you say? The sun comes up, look at the planet Earth. It's just amazing where it come from. You didn't do it. No human decision had anything to do with it, did it? And like I said, even the human mind, yes, it's brilliant. They created a rocket ship that flew it to the moon. That's really great. Where'd the mind come from? Because you didn't make your mind, and Einstein didn't make his. Did he? Creation on its own is way beyond any mess you can make. All right? The whole mess around here is human beings trying to get what they want and avoid what they don't want. Isn't that the mess that creates all the wars and all the disharmony, right? That no one agrees what we want and no one agrees what we don't want, so they're just out there fighting with everybody. The natural way of things is incomprehensible. It's gorgeous. It's unbelievable. How can you even think about it? Look at the planet Earth, sitting, floating in the middle of nowhere. There's just a little ball that has trees and elephants and everything running around. Where'd it come from? Whatever made that, you want to call it God, call it God. You want to call it creation, call it creation. It doesn't matter. What matters is you didn't do it, did you? And what it made is so much greater than anything. And all you're thinking about is, I wish he liked me. It's so cute of it. Because you have these samskaras stored in there, you're only projecting yourself into, and it's tiny. It's just, oh my God, it's pure ego, isn't it? Right? If you let go of yourself, what you will start to see is the grace of creation unfolding in front of you because you didn't mess it up. And wait till you see what it looks like. It will blow your mind. I know some people who saw it. David in the 23rd Psalm, read it someday and tell me whether he didn't see with his own eyes that it will take care of itself. What it will make is beyond anything you could ever make. He saw that what is going on out there is way beyond anything he could possibly create. In the Bible, Christ said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. What it basically says is, do your work inside yourself. Seek ye first the kingdom. Do your work inside yourself, and wait till you see what goes on outside. What you will see is the perfection. The world is gorgeous. It is unbelievable. How could you miss that? Right? Just look at a sunset. Look at anything. Look at a baby from a single cell. Creation is phenomenal, is it not? That is happening all around you every single second. That's what's going to be there when you stop screwing with it and think you're making all these decisions and doing all these things, and really what you're doing is upsetting everything around you. I'm going to stop now, but because I know you're hearing me. This is deep stuff to hear, okay? There's two lives. One, the mess you made, and two, life. God's, creations, grace, call it whatever you want. Now, when you reach out there and you touch that stuff, that perfection, because it's not what you want, and that's why you touch it. You want to take something, or you want to avoid something. That's karma. Don't get confused about karma. It's not a punishment, anything like that. The universe is unfolding, and you decided, I don't want the universe unfolding the way it would naturally. I don't want it. I don't want you being who you are. I want you being who I need you to be. You hear me? Because it makes me feel loved. And when you are who you are, it upsets me. So no. All right, I don't care that it took 13.8 billion years to make you. You are to be the way I want you to be because I have these problems inside of me. And the only time I'm okay is if you're the way I want you to be. And it better not rain tomorrow because I'm going hiking. In other words, I am projecting out into this world what I need because of my problems that I have not let go of yet. I guarantee you, you are making a mess. You may not see it right now, but when it's said and done, You touch it, you own it. You go out there and mess with the natural flow of things because of your problems inside of you, your desires and your fears, you are taking on karma. That's what it means. It means I've pushed something so it's other than the way it would have been. It now is trying to come back to its natural state, but I have to own it. All right, here's the ultimate example of karma, right? The Hoover Dam. The Colorado River was flowing just fine. Well, I want something different. Not that I mind the dam. Nobody says it's a problem. But I want you to understand karma. I want something different. So I'm going to build a dam. What's it going to do? It's going to stop the river. All right, because I touched it, I now am responsible for maintaining that dam with hundreds of people, you understand that? And hundreds of millions and millions of dollars a year. I have to do it every single year forever. It's my karma. I touched it. I own it. If I stop doing that, that dam's not going to be there in time, is it? That river's natural flow will blow that dam down over time, wouldn't it? It'll crack and it'll flow. But because I want to maintain it the way I want it, there is a price to pay. So karma doesn't mean a negative thing. Don't look at it that way. It just means I touch it, I own it. So if you're a certain way and I need you to be another way and I'm manipulating you, I'm dressing a certain way, I'm smelling a certain way, I borrowed my friend's car so I can impress you when I pick you up, I'm speaking a certain way, I'm lying to you about what I really want because I think if I tell you what I really want, you won't be interested in me, so I'm saying this. Every single thing I'm doing is I am changing the natural flows of energy so that I'm trying to be in charge of them. I am the Hoover Dam. I now have to worry about what I wear next time or how I smell next time or what I say next time. If I win your heart by doing the things that I think will win your heart, now I have to decide how to act tomorrow. I have anxiety. So a great being understands karma, understands this whole thing, that there are two lives to be lived on this planet. One is mine, and the other is God's, realities, creations, the way it would be if you stopped touching it. And the only reason you're touching it is you're projecting your garbage onto it, and no wonder life is such a mess. That's why the first noble truth of Buddha is what? All of life is suffering. No, it's a beautiful place. Not when the ego's touching it. It ain't beautiful then. It's touching it, creating disturbance, and then not knowing what to do about it. Come on, have you done that? And you drive yourself crazy, you drive everybody else crazy, and the next thing you know, you got disaster laying around you, right? All right, what do? Let go. Well, what do I do if I touch it? Let go. No, you don't understand. I touch it. Let go. If you let go of the part of you that caused you to touch it, the karma's gone. Karma's not a punishment. It's the fact that you touched it. You're forcing it to be a certain way, so now you got the pressure coming back. I don't know. I did the best I could. I hope you understand the difference in those two lives. And I hope you understand decisions aren't what you think they are. You better watch it. Okay? I've never given a lecture on decisions before. I avoid that topic. Do you see it? You are creating the neurosis about these decisions. The universe unfolds just fine everywhere you're not. Isn't that weird? How many decisions are you making about the 3 billion people that live in China? How many decisions are you making about what's happening on Saturn, on Mars? There are 800 billion, zillion, trillion things going on. How many decisions are you making? None. Why? Well, they're fine. But why is what's in front of you not fine? Because I'm not fine. How's that for the answer? Because I'm not fine, whatever's in front of me is not fine. Therefore, I have to make decisions. It's very funny. Thank you for listening. This was tough. I told you it'd be tough. Jai Gurudev.